Alright, so you're a beginner photographer and you're trying to do your thing and you're trying to figure out how you get paid. Well, it's it's a little complicated.
Sophia L-Matic, back at it with the camera magic like Flash. El Fuego.
I have figured out some ways to make money as a newbie photographer, and I'm gonna get to those in a bit. But first, I think I need to tell you that if you are a brand new photographer and if you expect to pick up a camera and to be able to make money pretty quickly, you may be in for a disappointment. I believe that if your experience level as a photographer is under a year, then your main focus should be learning your technical skills, getting to know your camera, really getting to know your lenses, and figure out natural lighting. Natural lighting might seem like an easy concept. It's like what? You go outside, you take photos, but not really. There's learning the different types of light throughout the different times of day. There's learning what hard light versus diffuse light is. There's learning about shadows and harsh contrast areas that hit the face. There's learning framing, there's learning composition, there's learning color. There's a whole spectrum of things within photography, just taking one frame, that is very important to learn. After all, as photographers, we do provide a service, and you want that service to be good. You want to know what you're doing, or at least make it seem like you know what you're doing. You want to have that confidence in you that will reflect back on your client, so that when you're in a shoot with them, they can feel comfortable and confident in you, knowing that they're in good hands and you're going to provide a great service and ultimately a really good product for them to have. In order to do that, you need practice, right? You need to have some kind of a resume. Your main focus is to build trust with your customers. If a client is unable to see your previous work, then you can't really expect them to pay you for something that they haven't seen you do before. So in the beginning, you're gonna be doing a lot of free work. Naturally, you're gonna wanna experiment with different kinds of genres of photography. You're gonna eventually want to learn different types of genres so that you can have a broad knowledge base of different situations, and to get to know yourself and the things that you like to do, so that you then ultimately can provide a better service and a better product for your clients. So yes, while in the beginning you may not know exactly what you want to do, you can experiment to figure that out and then tailor that free work to be the type of portfolio that you want to show, so that you can attract that type of work. And then whoever you approach can see that you have done that type of photography before, and they can kind of get a visual of what to expect when they work with you. Yes, it may sound like a lot of work, but I mean, if you're in it to really seriously build a business, then this is what it's gonna have to take. Whoever said build it and they will come was lying, okay? Because what you have to do is you have to tell people what you're doing. You have to tell people how to get there. You gotta tell them what they'll get when they get there, and then maybe they will come. Maybe that is when they will decide that they want to work with you. So once you feel comfortable enough to start charging and getting paid for your work, you are gonna want to start small. And I have a few ways that I was able to do that in my early stages that I would like to share with you. So I don't know if anybody uses Craigslist anymore. I don't know, it's probably not safe. But I used to find gigs on Craigslist. I would for certain search keywords, and whenever a creative gig came up for someone looking for a student photographer, or a beginner's photographer, or a cheap photographer, I would respond to that ad, and I was actually able to get a few gigs that way, and hey, I wasn't kidnapped or murdered. I think today's safer option would be something like Nextdoor, because it's people in your neighborhood. They've verified their identities and their addresses, so they're real people, and you can put yourself out there. You can introduce yourself, you can make a post saying, hey, I'm a beginning photographer, I'm charging this much for this type of session, here's some examples, message me for more details. And that's actually worked. Every once in a while, if I have a special spring session, or back when I had special spring sessions or mini sessions, I would advertise them on Nextdoor and would actually get some pretty good traction with that. Another cool way to make some money as you're learning photography is assisting another photographer. So this could be anything from holding lights to helping coordinate to being like PA, maybe even a second shooter, maybe shooting behind the scenes, some social media content for other creators. It's a really cool learning experience, so you can see how other photographers work, you can see what they price like, you can see what their service looks like, what their experience looks like, and you can gain practice by shooting that genre of photography with them without having the liability of being the primary shooter. There are other services like Thumbtack and Bark, but for those it's like a bidding thing, so you have access to all these people who are looking for photographers, but in order to respond to those requests, you have to spend money for a certain amount of credits to be able to bid for that person. And I tried it for a little while, but it was just kind of annoying. It was something that I wasn't really trying to spend a whole lot of money on, especially with just not knowing for sure. And being in my early stages, it just wasn't feasible for me. Something that was cheap and easy for me was selling prints on Pinterest. So you can sell prints through so many different e-commerce sites, but I think Pinterest is the easiest, user-friendly, and they are a merchant that takes the least from you. So with other ones like Society6, you provide them the art and they go ahead and create a product for whoever. It's like made to order, and they take a huge percentage of whatever you decide to charge. And it's just like, I had used Society6 before, and I made I sold prints, but I would get like a couple bucks for each one when they paid for like something that was $25. It was ridiculous. So I decided to stick with Pinterest and actually gain some traction there with especially because they have options like working with SEO, you can tag a bunch of stuff, use keywords, you can upload a ton of images, and you can just reach a lot of people on that platform. So if you're into still life, if you're into street photography, if you're into landscapes, if you're into like just really cool creative photography, then you might want to think about selling your prints online. So yes, there are ways for beginner photographers to make money, but if your main focus is to make money right away off the bat, you are going to go nowhere quickly. You really have to nail down those technical skills. You really have to nail down your product. You really have to nail down your style and your service and the experience that customers are going to have with you. And that, my friends, will take you into the long run of running a sustainable photography business. Well, I hope that helped you guys out. As always, this is Ask Me Mondays on sometimes Tuesdays or maybe even Wednesdays, where I answer one random question, and hope to do it again next week. I appreciate the love and thank you for watching.